Hello, good evening and welcome to this, the live Periscope Q&A, here with star of the Librarians, Noah Wyle. Thank you so much, Noah, for joining us.
Entirely my pleasure.
Good. Something very exciting is happening. The Librarians is coming back to the
yes,
UK.
Yes. We're starting up very soon, November 2nd. Yeah.
The 2nd November, Monday the 2nd November. You can see it right here on Sci-Fi, 8 p.m. Very excitingly, you guys have been sending in your questions for Noah on Twitter over the last couple of weeks. And we're going to put some of those questions to you now, sir, if that's okay.
I'm ready.
We're going to kick things off with some fans from London and the UK, first of all. So, Sharon Young would like to know, what is your favourite thing about playing Finn?
My favourite thing about playing Flynn, well, it's definitely the sort of least inhibited I've ever been when I'm working and requires the most improvisation to pull off. Yeah, he's a character that you could paint with a broad spectrum of colors, and somehow it all seems to work. You can play him like a hero, and you can play him like a coward, you can play him like a lover, you can play him like a fool, you can play him like a genius, you can play him like an idiot. It all seems to somehow work in the final analysis. So I like the sort of spontaneity of it.
And speaking of spontaneity, and you mentioned improvising, do you get to ad-lib a little bit with the character?
More in this role than I ever have before. Partly it's because I'm the boss and nobody can tell me not to.
That's a nice place to be.
Yeah, totally. But also just because, when you're trying to figure out what's funny, you have a tendency to, want to try out a bunch of different things and then pick and choose in the editing room. So the more variety that you can provide the editor, the better.
Right, make his job easy. So Deb's moved on to all things wardrobe.
Okay.
And she says, Flynn's wardrobe, it's a little bit like yours. Do you guys ever borrow clothes? Do you borrow clothes from Flynn?
He's never borrowed from me, let's put it that way.
Maybe
But I'm
now.
so glad that I did not bring this shirt with me on this trip because I did steal it off wardrobe, and I actually thought, well, maybe they won't know because I didn't wear it until later in the season. They'll never put two and two together. And then I didn't realize I'd be standing in front of a poster of it.
I'd like you to have bought the sword. That'd been good.
Oh yeah, that's not actually. That's a painted-in version of the sword I was holding. I was holding Excalibur, who those of you that watched the show last year know that he didn't make it through the end of the season, so I had to get a new sword.
Okay, and Deborah McGarvey asked, how does she get to the library to offer her a job?
Well,
The $1 million question.
yeah. Actually, it's a lot less than $1 million because it's basic cable. So it's actually relatively inexpensive to join the library.
Is there like a
Keep reading. You have to be an expert in all things. This show, one of the reasons I like it best is that it promotes literacy, it promotes education, and it basically says that you can be a hero without having the strongest muscles, just having the biggest intellect.
And on the point of intellect, is there a myth or a legend that you'd like to see featured in the show?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I think we've only kind of mined the top level of storylines so far. There's so many that have intrigued me all my life. Things like Atlantis and the Bermuda Triangle, and there's a really cool island off the coast of North Carolina called Oak Island, which supposedly Blackbeard excavated a whole cave system and has got a lot of treasure buried down there, but nobody's been able to access it because of these waterways and sort of booby traps that he's put in there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Check it out. Oak Island.
There you go, you had it
Googleable.
first. Okay, and from Blackbeard to chickens.
Yep.
We hear you own some.
I have a few chickens.
Can you tell us their names?
I learned, this is going to sound terrible to say this, but I don't name the chickens because the chickens don't last very long. I mean, they do, and they don't. They're free-range chickens, which means they kind of roost up in trees and whatnot, but occasionally, living in the country, the coyotes get the best of them. So I've drawn the line at sentimental attachment to the fowl on the property, but everything else has a name.
There you go. And that was from Big Bob. Thank you, Big Bob, for your question. Davey B would like to know if you had to pick a favourite episode thus far.
Of Librarians?
Yes. What would you go with? Or is there more? Is the best one yet to come, perhaps? We haven't seen it yet.
Always. Always, one hopes.
It's always best to go.
I quite liked the pilot last season. I thought it was a very good sort of kickoff episode. I also liked the finale. It was kind of an interesting challenge to play the character as if he'd never become the librarian. So I got to play a couple different versions of the same guy, which was fun. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Okay, and
actually, I got to direct an episode in the second season. It will air as the 5th episode of the year, and I just absolutely loved every second of it. So that's my favorite.
How's that for you in terms of going from previously acting and then having kind of charge
You
like
would
that?
think it would be schizophrenic, but it really wasn't. It was sort of, it was a lot easier of a transition, as you might think. Because when you're the the lead or you're the protagonist in the scene, your job is to kind of move the energy around the room in the most appropriate way. And directing is very much a sort of continuation of that. You're pointing the camera and wanting to force the audience's attention. So I found that by already knowing what I wanted to do in the scene, it kind of provided each scene an anchor and then a fulcrum, which we could spin on.
Like a focal point.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
pretty cool. Okay, and
Again, being the boss, you just cut right back to
I was gonna
yourself
say,
anytime you want.
There's a running theme here.
Yeah.
Fiona Freeman, I would like to know, what do you think makes this show so popular? Because it has got huge international appeal.
I think the show is good. I think it enjoyed more success than it necessarily deserved last year, which speaks to the vacuum on television of this type of programming. So we took our numbers as a real sort of responsibility to come back and make a better show than we made last year, to honor the fact that people are thirsty to have a show that they can watch with their parents and their kids, that everybody loves Breaking Bad, everybody loves Game of Thrones, but you don't watch it with your 80-year-old grandmother and you don't watch it with your 5-year-old kid. So Librarians is going to fit that niche beautifully.
Is that something you guys are conscious of, that kind of vast, like kind of transcending generations?
Yeah, it walks a very fine line. You don't want it to be too satirical and tongue-in-cheek, and you don't want it to be too serious or too scary. It has to be just calibrated just so that the prevailing sense is one of fun and playfulness. Again, this sort of positive message about, brains over brawn.
Well, that definitely comes across, and having seen the first episode of Food Season 2, it's there's more to come for sure.
Yeah, cool.
So I talked about international appeal. Thank you guys from the UK. Those are your questions. We're going to move on to Spain, because Spain love the Librarians as well.
Estoy listo para España.
There you go. So MJ Spain, which is my favourite name ever, asks, which magical objects from the library or that you're trying to retrieve is your favourite? That's a good question.
Tough question. Well, I'm sentimentally attached to the first artifact, which was the Spear of Destiny, that we reclaimed in the very first film. In fact, all the artifacts from the movies were pretty great. Judas's Chalice was pretty strong, but if I'm trying to pick a favorite, it's got to be Excalibur. He was my best friend, after all.
And here he is right behind us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, sort of.
Yeah. I wish. Yolanda asks, which TV or movie characters would you put Flynn in an elevator with to discuss his crazy ideas and theories? I guess it's a bit like dream dinner date question. Who would you most want to have with Flynn talking about stuff?
Interesting question. Who would Flynn most
There's
want
so many options.
an elevator with?
What would make a good kind of contrast? Like a villain, maybe, or
Eric Estrada from Chips. That goes almost without saying. David Schwimmer from Friends. No, I have no idea. He's a pretty bright guy. I think he'd want to talk to really bright guys. Actually, he'd probably want to be in there with the cast of Baywatch. He'd probably go the other way.
Yeah, maybe Hasselhoff can come in and just do a cameo.
Except for Hasselhoff. The rest of the cast of Baywatch.
We'll leave him outside. So Phoebe kind of journeys back to the end of season 1, where we kind of see the team go their separate ways a little bit. Is that a theme that we're going to see going into season 2?
Well, I think everybody goes their separate ways and feels empowered to become librarians in their own right, only to discover that they work better as a team and end up missing each other. And they find that their particular skill sets, while impressive, only really work and are successful when they combine them together. So that's really the learning curve for both Flynn and the rest of the librarians in season 2, is how to work and play well with others.
So that's a theme that's going to run through this next season.
Yeah.
Very cool. So thank you, Spain. We're over to France and to Holland now. First up, what did you think when Dean Devlin decided to create the show about the Librarians?
The show or the movies?
The movie and then into the show.
I loved making the movies. They were just great fun, and I would have made 10 more. Unfortunately, we lost the rights to the property for 7 years, which is why there was this huge period of time where Flynn Carson was not on TV.
But still doing his thing elsewhere.
I was reticent to jump into a series. I had all sorts of misgivings about it, and it wasn't until John Rogers cracked the idea of it being a show about the Sorcerer's Apprentices that I kind of got more engaged.
Okay.
I was worried that if you tried to do it every week, you would dilute the franchise or diminish the quality of what we were able to do, but happily I was proved wrong.
Absolutely. And they'd also like to know what it's like to work with the rest of the cast. It's an amazing ensemble cast, and in particular Christian Kane.
The card actually says that?
That actually says that.
Really? Yeah, Christian has a very strong following of people that refer to themselves as the Caniacs. And we all have to bow and pay homage to the Caniacs, who are a very vociferous group.
Maybe he sent the question in.
He probably did send the question in. The cast is tremendous. You know, everybody comes from very different backgrounds, different levels of work experience, different work ethics, but we all had a great time together. You know, I have my favorites. I'm not going to say who they are, but 80% of the cast is a dream.
Great. I'm sorry to those 20%. And so
I once did a play. There was 4 characters in the play, and after the show, this guy comes backstage and says, "I just want you to know, 3 of you were incredible." And then he left and left us all to wonder.
Yeah, which one are you talking about? Me?
Yeah.
And let's finish up on a great question. I think is that, you know, would you like to kind of play the bad guy for once?
I've played the bad guy. It's very liberating to play the bad guy. Yeah. I think most good guys like playing bad guys, and most bad guys like playing good guys. Just like most, you know, smart people like playing idiots, and idiots like playing smart people. You tend to find the grass greener.
Well, that concludes our Q&A live on Periscope. Noah, thank you
That's
so much
it?
for joining us. That's it. I told you it was quick. We've gone around the world in this
Great
little...
questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the UK, Spain, Netherlands, France for watching that. Don't forget, you can see The Librarians when it returns for Season 2 only on Sci-Fi on Monday the 2nd of November.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
see you there. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you.